I think in today's day and age with technology that easily people can get locked in their rooms and watch Netflix or watch videos or do things like of that nature. So when the kids were young, we used to play all sorts of games together, whether it was Monopoly or Yahtzee or stuff like that. But as they got older, they got really busy into sports. So my kids are 22, going to be 22 and 18, and they're off with their own friends. They're doing their own thing. So to have them be interested in 45s, I think it was a couple years ago. We were at the beach on vacation. They were like, "Teach me how to play." So we started to play, and then everybody went back to school, and they kind of forgot about it a little bit. But actually, as a result of the pandemic, and not too many people can do anything or go anywhere, there's only so many movies and videos you can watch from the 80s moving forward. So we started picking up the game again.
So it was kind of like a full circle moment because you taught them how to play at the beach, and you used to play at the beach all the time.
Oh yeah. And I will not get emotional, but it is, my dad passed away when I was 14, so there's a lot of things. That the kids will never have from him. So to pass this down, to pass this down is really special.
My name is Will Courtney. I'm a longtime journalist in the Merrimack Valley. I worked from Newburyport to Lawrence, to Lowell, and grew up playing 45s. The game came apparently from Ireland. When the Irish emigrated to North America, many of them came to Canada, and then they worked their way down into the Merrimack Valley where there was work. Many immigrants came to the Merrimack Valley to get work in the industrial mills at that time. As many may know, Lowell is the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, and Lawrence and Haverhill and Amesbury all had these factories where people could work. As they emigrated here, they developed social clubs, they had social networks. So the game in Canada was called 45s, apparently because the game was played up to 45 points. They call our game in the Merrimack Valley 120 because we played 120 points. But the name has got, the derivatives of the name, you'll get different explanations. Is it because they're 45s because there's 4 5s in the deck and the 5 is the strongest card? Others say it's derived from forte, which means strong 5s. Other will say it's the 45 that you played up to in Canada, and that's where we got it. As you get ingrained in this sort of culture of 45s, you learn the language, you can sit across the table, you feel like you're in your own club, you feel like you've been let in, and I think part of the reason it hasn't spread beyond the Merrimack Valley as much is because you've got to have a friend who's willing to teach you, who has the patience to let you learn. You've got to learn that language, and that can be tough for just a group of people who might see this in Indiana and say, let's sit down and learn this game. There's more of it's not just a set of rules, there is a culture, there is an etiquette and a style there that makes it so much fun. And that's why you can just see in those social clubs of the Merrimack Valley, it's a place where people will spend time, sit together, talk, have a beer, and that is the perfect setup for 45s. And just as such a Merrimack Valley centerpiece throughout, from Lowell down to Amesbury, you're just going to find it in those little places.
My name is Derek Licata, and I've been playing 45 since I was a young kid, as long as I can remember. The police department does a lot of community outreach with the senior center, especially our community outreach unit. And over the last 4 or 5 years, they've hosted 45s tournaments. And what started out as actually a friendly game, which it's still a friendly game, but you'd be surprised at how competitive some of the seniors are. So when we first started going in there to play, the seniors were really wiping the floor with us. I mean, they were just killing us. And as time went on, we got a little more competitive, had some fantastic times. And playing 45s with some of the older residents, even some of the younger residents, it gives us a chance to interact with people. It's amazing how 45s is really revered in the area. So many people have a passion for the game. And if you move outside the area, if you mention the game 45s, most people don't really understand the game, especially most people don't know the game if you go outside of the state. But anytime outside of the Merrimack Valley, you're hard-pressed to find someone who actually knows or understands the game. So if you're outside of the Merrimack Valley and you actually see someone or encounter someone who understands when you say, hey, do you want to play 45s? And they say yes, then you know that person somehow has ties to the Merrimack Valley. And that game has been a tradition for many of the families that I grew up with, and many of the friends that I had whose family members played the same game.
Another reason I think it's lasted so long in the Merrimack Valley is that it's been handed down from generation to generation. You really do find folks like, there's a man named Robert Reichel, and he created the 45s rule book, and he speaks in here in the foreword about how he wanted to create this book because he wanted that set of rules and that tradition to stay alive and stay consistent. The other way that happens is just through families. People sit around the table, growing up, learning the game, playing with family, playing with their parents, playing with their siblings.
My first memory of 45s, I was probably about 5 years old, and I was Daddy's little girl, so I followed him around everywhere. And he was playing at the kitchen table, so I jumped up on his lap and I held his cards, and I just sat there, wanted to be part of the game, even though it was all a bunch of adults. And that's the very first time I ever started learning. I don't think at 5, obviously, I didn't know what 45s were, but I just knew that all the dads and uncles were having a great time and laughing and joking and very competitive, and that was my first experience with 45s.
Holidays was really the big time that we would play, and not just, it was funny because when I got married, my wife's family was Italian, and their family also played 45 since they were from the Merrimack Valley. So going from one family to the other family really didn't make much of a difference. As long as you knew how to play 45s, you had a seat at the table.
So my father taught me to play 45s, probably starting at the age of 5 or 6, say, which was 45 years ago, depending on how you count.
We never played when growing up. It wasn't until like high school I started playing, but I watched my parents play every Sunday night. We'd go over to my grandparents' house, and I'd watch my parents play with my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, and all they would do is fight and scream and yell at one another. So I just didn't understand why someone would want to play a game when they said bad words like that to one another.
Until you actually play it and see what's happening, and then the strategy. Like you have a partner, you can throw low and let your partner, if your partner only drives...
Second being low, third being high?
Exactly, second, yeah. But happening...
I hear, just not that I play a lot, but I listen.
But definitely, but if you had, let's say your partner only drew 3 cards, they have 2 trump. And if you and then if you can renege, if you have a 5-jack, and let's say an ace of hearts, but the 5 of jack weren't led, they can hold on to that ace of hearts. So you gotta think, wait a minute, he had 2 trump, but he didn't play anything on that 10. He's gotta have the ace of hearts, because the 5 of jack wasn't led. So it's, okay, so let's see, we got another way of playing. So it's a big strategy, and you have to see what everybody else is playing and what they draw. It's a lot of, like you say, you have to really concentrate.
And you need memory. You have to remember what the other person did and what was thrown and what was taken. And so, because you want to hold it
till the end, which Nana used to do a lot of times. David used to think he'd have 30 days, and Mom would hold that jack up until the end.
And then she'd throw it down and be like, fireworks.
Or she had the setting trick, too, and she'd wait till the end to set him, even though she could have set him in the beginning. But no, not Nana. She had to wait until the very end. So even though the other David or Tom would think, oh, God, I got my bid. Oh, no, at the end, Nana puts that trump down, and no, you don't have that bid. So again, it's a lot of competition, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and like you say, you play, and it gets very enjoyable. And before you know it, 3-4 hours have gone by. So Mom then put a thing. Okay, we're playing 11 to 2, and at 2 o'clock we stopped because she liked to take her nap. So we had to put a time limit because we could play till 5-6 o'clock, and then her nap wouldn't get taken.
Right. And Sunday dinner would be based upon when a card game was going on. So if a card game was going on, we would have dinner like at 1:30 because, you know, card game went from 10 to 1. And then, you know, we'd be milling around the kitchen and you'd come in and watch, you could smell the roast. Oh, it was really, really good. And like, so we'd be outside and people would just come in and we'll check out. So the whole family would be gathering outside. But the table here was all about the cards, and then as soon as the card game, everything would shift to have all Sunday dinner.
Yeah, everybody would be setting the table,
lots of
making sure
hands.
the potatoes were cooked, whatnot, and then we're gonna have a big family gathering afterwards, which was fun. And who won? Who won today?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it was
Right.
very good. They go, oh, mom just set David 3 times. Yes, it's like, you know, and then we say, oh no, the boys won again. It's like, but.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a lot of fun. Good memories. And as I
Playing 45s was across all the generations in my family. So not only did I play with my cousins who were my age or around there, I played with my parents, my aunts, my uncles, my older cousins, as well as my grandparents, and then my older aunts and uncles. And the main takeaway for me anyways was it's amazing that a game like that that's so popular in such a small region hasn't spread further wide around the country. And I think the country's missing out.